Many people believe that where you are born decides how far you can go in life.
This idea exists in almost every society, and for many years it has discouraged millions of people from even trying to chase their dreams.
But the truth is more complex and more interesting than that.
While starting conditions do matter, they do not always decide the final outcome.
There are countless examples of people who began with very little and still managed to build something meaningful.
This story is about a poor boy whose dream surprised everyone around him and explains what really happens when someone refuses to let their circumstances define their future. The boy's name was Samuel, and he grew up in a place where life was simple but often difficult. Money was always limited, opportunities were rare, and most people focused on survival rather than big ambitions. Many children in his neighborhood believed that their lives would follow the same path as the generations before them.
Work hard, earn just enough, and accept that some dreams are only for people born into better situations. But Samuel had a different way of thinking, even though he did not fully understand it at first.
From a young age, he was curious about how the world worked. He observed successful people, listened carefully to conversations, and asked questions that some people found strange. One question stayed in his mind more than any other.
Why do some people manage to change their lives even when they start with nothing? As Samuel grew older, he started talking about his dream more openly.
He wanted to build something big, something that could change not only his life, but also help his family escape constant financial pressure. But when people around him heard his ideas, many reacted with disbelief. Some laughed, others told him he was being unrealistic, and a few said something that many people hear at some point in life. Dreams like that are not for people like us. This is where many stories usually end, because social pressure is extremely powerful. When enough people doubt you, it becomes easy to doubt yourself too. But something interesting about Samuel was that he did not see those reactions as proof that his dream was impossible.
Instead, he saw them as a reflection of what people had experienced in their own lives.
Most of them had never seen someone from their environment succeed in a big way, so they naturally believed it could not happen. Samuel understood another truth that many people learn later in life. People often judge possibilities based on what they have personally seen or experienced, not on what is actually possible in the world. This difference between perception and reality is something that shapes many life decisions. The path Samuel chose was not easy at all.
In fact, it was much harder than he imagined at the beginning.
There were long periods where nothing seemed to change, and sometimes his situation looked even worse than before.
He worked small jobs, saved money slowly, and spent time learning skills that could eventually help him move forward. This stage is extremely important because many people expect change to happen quickly, but real progress often takes time.
Another question many people ask when they hear stories like this is whether determination alone is enough. The honest answer is no.
Determination must be combined with learning, discipline, and patience.
Samuel did not just dream.
He studied, practiced, failed, corrected mistakes, and tried again many times. There were moments when he almost gave up, and this is something very real that people do not always admit publicly. Doubt appeared, fear appeared, and sometimes the future looked uncertain. But during those moments, Samuel remembered something important. If he stopped completely, nothing would change.
But if he continued trying, there was still a possibility that things could improve. Over time, something began to shift slowly. The skills Samuel developed started attracting small opportunities.
At first, these opportunities were not big or impressive, but they were important because they allowed him to gain experience and confidence.
This is another truth about how life works.
Many breakthroughs begin with small steps that people often underestimate. People around him also began noticing that Samuel had not stopped chasing his goal even after years of difficulty.
Slowly, their reactions started changing from laughter to curiosity. Some began asking how he stayed motivated for so long.
Others started realizing that maybe his dream was not as unrealistic as they first believed. Then one day, something happened that truly shocked everyone who had doubted him. Samuel achieved a major milestone that proved his vision was not just a fantasy.
It was the result of years of persistence, learning, and refusing to give up even when the path was unclear.
But what surprised people the most was not just his success.
It was the journey behind it.
Many people assumed that success appears suddenly, but in reality, it often grows quietly for years before becoming visible. Samuel's story answered many questions that people often ask about success and dreams.
Does background matter? Yes, it does, but it does not always decide everything. Is the journey easy? No, it is often difficult and uncertain. Do people face doubt and criticism?
Almost always.
But the most important question is whether someone is willing to continue long enough for progress to happen. Looking back, Samuel realized that the dream that shocked everyone was not actually impossible. It simply required more time, effort, and belief than most people were willing to invest. And sometimes that is the real difference between those who change their lives and those who remain where they started. In the end, this story is not just about one boy.
It is about a truth that applies to many people around the world.
Your starting point may influence your journey,
but it does not automatically define your destination. What matters most is what you choose to do with the time, effort, and opportunities that appear along the way.
And sometimes the dreams that surprise everyone else are the ones that quietly change a person's entire life.